Guess what time it is, guys? On Blue Collar Hockey Talk, we've got playoff hockey here now with the Leafs as the number one seed. Guys, thanks for listening. We've got a good show coming up. Paired together with that last show that we did, we've got our playoffs, the playoff preview. We've got stuff that's taking place now. We've got 4 leagues that have come together as one. Wes, buddy, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I love when the playoffs start. I think the first and second rounds are my favorite rounds for sure when it comes to the NHL playoffs. And not only because the Leafs usually only play in the first round, but I love how every game means everything. There's always a game on, I find. You know, in a regular season, every night there's at least 4 games on. So it's just awesome to watch.
Do you ever want to see how unimportant the Calgary Vancouver games are? I'll tell you, have playoff games taking place at the same time, man. Holy smokes. And I forgot to even say in the intro there was a game that we got to talk about too that we might not talk very much about because it was a glorified exhibition game. Yeah. But whatever. Good times, bud.
There's a part of me that my heart goes out to those guys on Calgary and Vancouver because I think they play Sunday evening, and then after that, I think there are 2 remaining games are in the middle of the afternoon during the week. Good God, man, those are relegation games in international tournaments. You know, no one is paying attention to those games.
Oh no, not at all, not at all. I mean, we've got playoff pools going on, man. Exactly. And we'll talk about a playoff pool because we had 252 players that we picked, and I want to tell people we picked last in that, but we'll do that later.
Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, man, let's get right into the playoffs, man. So far, we've had 3 games completed and there are games going on as we speak. Washington, the New York Islanders, and the Wild all won the first game of their respective series, man. So Washington, not too big of a surprise. You know, I think they're gonna win that series. But the Islanders and Wild, talk about teams punching up and really surprising their opposition.
Oh, buddy, let's not forget, it's just a couple of years ago that there was all the top seeds went out in the first round. I mean, This is just one game. It's one game. But what I'm saying is that playoff hockey is a different beast. Teams are built for playoffs, and sometimes they show up. There's money players. It's awesome to watch this, man. And it's so cool because for the last several months, I haven't given a damn about the other divisions.
Yeah.
Because they didn't matter, did they?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The odd time I would watch highlights of another division, maybe because I was I want to see how Ovechkin's doing because he's awesome to watch, or I want to see how McKinnon's doing. But we talked about this so many times, the way the NHL broadcasts their games. If they're not on TV, I'm not watching it, right? And how hard is it to find a Vegas game on TV in Ontario, right? It's just not going to happen, and that's an amazing team.
I learned firsthand when we did our hockey pool that I didn't know a lot about those other teams because I haven't paid attention as close as I normally do because it was just completely irrelevant for what I was following. As far as being a diehard Leaf fan, I watched what maybe was taking place a little bit because I like hockey, but it didn't matter. It was a different league. But now, Wes, they all come together. Now it matters. Now it actually matters. Because we're not far away. Teams aren't far away. There's 4 teams not far away from colliding that haven't seen each other. Yeah. So now it matters. And the intensity is now, it's playoff hockey. It's exciting no matter who the hell's on the ice.
Exactly. And, we were talking about that, the Vegas and the Wild series. You pulled an amazing stat that I had no idea about. And I really wish I knew about this a few nights ago, man.
Okay, so the last 17 games, and people are giving Minnesota no chance, really. And we saw that firsthand in the playoff pool. We had 12 guys picking players, and nobody was picking Minnesota players. It was all Vegas, and myself included. On our playoff preview show, guess what? I didn't give a whisper about Minnesota. 17 games they've played. Minnesota's won the last 12.
That's crazy. I wish I knew that. I had no idea about that. A friend of mine, one of the guys in our pool, actually, he's a big Vegas fan, so he's been following them really closely. And he was mentioning to me, he's really underestimated Minnesota. And I was looking at Minnesota's record, and I was like, geez, man, they're a good team. I think they're the surprise team in the league this year. You know, they were third in that division, and we both called at the beginning of the season, if they were going to make the playoffs, they were going to squeak in as the 4th, and they clearly went by our expectations.
They did. They're a better team. Like that, they're built. Not with star-studded talent.
Mm-hmm.
They're seemingly a very well balanced, pieced together club.
Yeah.
And Vegas could have their hands full. Hell, as a history of the team, they haven't been around long. They haven't beat Minnesota very many times. So clearly their styles don't match up well.
Yeah, that's very true, man. I was talking to my friend again, and I said Minnesota seems to be a bunch of very good guys having great years. So goes along with what you said about them not having a superstar, and who knows how this series will go. I still think Vegas will win in like 6, but Minnesota could really like 6 and 7. That's not a big gap in numbers. So I think Minnesota does have a chance.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know what? If Vegas got anything going for them, they've got a goalie that's played a few playoff games.
Yeah.
You've got a pretty sweet or pretty sweet little thing you've got here too, man.
Yeah, so I found out Marc-Andre Fleury became the first NHL goalie to ever play in 15 straight postseasons. So this is his 15th career postseason. There's 4 other goalies that have played in more. Brodeur and Patrick Roy played in 17, Andy Mogg played in 16, and Jacques Plante played in 16. So they didn't play in the playoffs straight through that many years. Fleury's the only one to ever play in 15 straight, and I don't know about you, man. Like I remember Fleury being drafted, and maybe that's like dating myself. I can't believe he's been in the playoffs for 15 years straight.
No, like I can't either. And I mean, he's had serious success, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's played great. He's a money goalie. Just look at the game that they just played today.
Yeah.
He took the game to overtime in a shutout.
Yeah.
What the hell else could he do?
Yeah. He let in 1 goal. So it's not like he played poorly or anything like that. And you know what? He might not even play the next game. It might be Leonard because I think they're going back and forth between the 2 goalies in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I guess it's a pretty. That's going to be a fun series. Playoff hockey, folks. Friggin' right, man. And can we finally put something to rest? Leafland. Like I didn't understand how I kept seeing people say, "Oh, I hope like you can't start Freddie." I don't. Did anybody actually think that this was a discussion?
Yeah, I have no idea who was really thinking Freddie was going to start game 1, and I'm so happy the team has got the Leafs have got in front of this because like the game isn't until Thursday. It's a few days away, and they already announced just to silence the crowd that Campbell is going to start game 1.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll tell you this right now. Way to go, Jack Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
Like the guy is he's a shining example of just stick to it, hang tight and wait for your chance. And he did. And he took over a net that was supposed to be Freddie Anderson's net. And it wasn't that Freddie Anderson lost the net. It's that Jack Campbell earned it. Congratulations, Jack, because I watched the team grow as he grew. And I don't know, man, when special things happen, it usually comes along with pretty cool stories. And that would be a pretty cool story with good old Jackie Campbell there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and he stepped up because he had to, right? It's not like he played better than Anderson. Anderson was injured. He's been injured since what, like early to mid-March, and then Campbell had to go in and play. So, man, he wasn't put into the easiest situation either. So he stepped up, and the Leafs had big expectations coming into the season, and he didn't make the conversation anything else, because this could have easily been, hey, the backup goalie is taking over for the Leafs because the number 1's out, and they're going to struggle to make the playoffs. Could you imagine if this happened 2 years ago when Garrett Sparks was the backup?
I couldn't. I mean, and I was going to say that, like, we've gone from being in a position where our backup goalie has been the Achilles heel, and that's so awful to say, but I mean, one of many. It wasn't the only thing. Mm-hmm. But our backup goaltending position since we lost or let go Curtis McElhinney was atrocious. And now all of a sudden, Wes and all of Leaf Nation, I don't know if anybody realizes what's just happened here, but we may have the best backup goaltender entering the playoffs. Yeah. We may have the deepest crease in the playoffs. Yeah. I don't think I'm being unrealistic to say that or bleeding blue.
I think Vegas might have a deeper one when it comes to a 1-2 pack, but that's about it, man. I can't think of another team where they have as deep as a 1-2-3 as the Leafs. Because even in Tampa, if Vasilevsky doesn't play, like McElhinney, we were talking, like you just mentioned him, he's not Vasilevsky.
No, he's not. And I mean, the only argument that I'd really accept here, and I don't have a comeback to you, but I won't take it as a you don't have good goalies. I would just accept this as a fact. We do have two goalies that have no track record in the playoffs for success. One that's shown no success, one that's never tried. But you know what? We've got a guy that's starting game one that's never tried. Guess who else didn't try the last time that he won a cup? Jordan Binnington. He
Yeah,
had a hell of a stellar run, didn't he? And I
absolutely.
don't know. That stuff happens. That happens in hockey. You
Yeah,
know, take a look at Matt Murray. It happens in hockey.
yeah, man. You catch lightning in a bottle, and you don't know how far it can take you. And the Leafs are in a great position where they should beat Montreal. Like if they lose to Montreal, that is an upset. Like they are hands down better than Montreal. Even if Carey Price comes back and plays Carey Price style goaltending, the Leafs should still win.
You're damn right they should still win. I mean, it would be an awful upset. And I didn't see an analyst in all of the shows or things that I've read that didn't say Leafs in 5 or 6, you know? Like and these yeah, it's but with that said, Wes, I don't know. I'm always nervous when I play against Montreal
Oh yeah,
because it's Montreal against Toronto. It's throw the
yeah.
stats and the records out the book or out the door, and let's have a friggin' original six style hockey game.
Oh for
And
sure.
we have an original six best of seven. Anything can happen here. This can go all 7 games. I don't know. I called it Leafs in 5, but
Yeah.
I'm not saying that because I'm disrespecting Montreal. This is going to be an awesome series.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I'm really looking forward to it in a historical sense as well as being a Leaf fan because if Montreal happened to have been better and Toronto was a little bit worse and it was a closer series, I would be more nervous than I am. But I'm happy that the Leafs are literally one of the top 10 teams in the league, if not higher than that. And Montreal, if this was a 1 to 16 seeding, they wouldn't have made the playoffs. So the
This is
Leafs
true.
should be beating them. And it's weird saying that. I think what works against these guys now is they've been into the playoffs every year. Like I'm talking about the core now, uh, every year of their careers, and they haven't had success. So it's beginning to weigh on them that they haven't won. Like the first few years, it's like, hey, they're still trying. They're young. They're getting there. They're getting there. Last year when they didn't beat Columbus, like that was a genuine disappointment. You know that I think major changes happened, right? Like you look at the roster that was in Game 5 against Columbus versus the roster that they're going to put together for Game 1. It is so different because they've learned, and I think this is going to be so disappointing if they lose to Montreal because this is going to say something about the core and not necessarily about what's around it.
You're right. This is a gut check. This is a serious gut check. This is a hurdle. You've put yourself in the best position possible to overcome the hurdle. Overcome the damn hurdle.
Yeah,
Win round 1.
yeah,
That's what you got to do because you're 4 and 5 years into these stellar and shining careers, and we're calling them stellar and shining with no playoff wins, no wins in the playoffs in a playoff series. So this year you've set yourself up to do it, and man, let's do it. Let's hammer through that wall.
yeah,
Jack Campbell, let's go. Freddie Anderson, you're going to be playing game 3 or 4. We all know it. It's a back-to-back.
yeah.
So let's see you light it up too. Matthews, light it up. I'm not going to go through the whole damn team.
Well, exactly.
Go.
You know what? In our next show, it's going to be recorded the day before Game 1. We're going to put together our Leafs lineup of who should be playing in Game 1. I have a feeling they're going to be released by the team earlier, but we'll have some fun. We did this a few weeks ago when they made all those big trades, and we had some similar ones. But you know, it'll be a lot of fun to do that. Before we start, like we've been talking about these serious games, and let's get into a game that actually meant something on Friday. It was the last game of the regular season for the Leafs and the Winnipeg Jets. A 4-2 loss to the Winnipeg Jets. That game meant it was pretty boring.
I had friends that were messaging me saying like, "Oh, you know, like what's Riley doing, or what's this, or what's that?" And I just thought to myself, "Are you really taking something away from this game? A game that has 2 coaches that said before the game with a little friendly chitter chat between them that let's take it a little easy here. You know, let's just make sure that we play just a easy game. You know, like let's not get crazy. So if you see some mistakes out on a hockey rink that has it where players aren't playing with an edge or an intensity to try to actually dominate the ice surface, Yeah, that probably happened.
Yeah.
So they lost 4-2. It was the last game. There was literally nothing on the line for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Just get your reps in.
Yeah.
That was it. You lost your scrimmage. I
Yep.
don't care.
Exactly. And like Marner wasn't playing that game. You look at the first line of that. Like that's not a first line. Like they weren't going to play that line in any other game this season. You know, they held out Hyman. They held out Riley Nash. Um, it it is what it is, right? It's a game you have to play because of the schedule. It's too bad that that game was a victim of the Vancouver COVID thing because that was supposed to be the Winnipeg back to back to back when Winnipeg was right on the heels of Toronto for the division lead all those weeks ago. And I think that third game could have definitely boiled over into a bit more fun, you know, way back when. And because those were tight games, man. I have relatives in Winnipeg, and they always chirp me when the Leafs and the Jets are playing, and that was a lot of fun. But on Friday, we were both like, no one get hurt. And like when Stastny went away, and they're all like, hopefully he's just like bruised himself and he's not coming back for the rest of the game. Like get him out, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, it was. I thought we were going to have some intense games in the last few games of the season. I
Mm-hmm.
really thought we were going to have intense playoff matches and stuff coming down, but no, we didn't. And I'm with you. When I was watching that game, guess what? I didn't actually watch that game because I just didn't sit down and watch that game. I checked in on it just because I wanted to see if I was going to get a 6-pack of beer from you with Matthews getting 43 goals, but he didn't, so I don't get that 6-pack.
Yeah.
Damn
Well, we'll just have to when this is all over, and sometime soon, we'll just have to get a couple 6-packs and get together and talk. Hopefully, some a deep playoff run of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Done deal, buddy.
Yeah.
But hey, can we chitter chat a little bit about the playoff draft that we did? Because there was kind of a few cool things that took place.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So, yeah, we're in a playoff draft every single year, Scott and I, and every year I try to make it a little bit bigger and a little more intense and a little more fun. And I get a bunch of my friends and family all care about hockey in different levels, I guess. Like Scott and I are pretty hardcore. The rest of the guys aren't as hardcore, and some of them are just like casual, want to be in it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it makes for some pretty awesome picks. But with that said, I won't lie, my draft went sideways fast.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I was about 6 or 7 rounds in and I was looking at Jerry's picks and I thought to myself, I want Jerry's team. Like I want that lineup. That's what I meant to pick. That's what I meant to do. Jerry, I wanted to do what you did.
Yeah. Yeah, so like we have 12 of us in the draft, and we ended up each picking 21 players, 12 forwards, 7 defensemen, and 2 goalies, right? So my whole thing is I wanted as many guys in the playoffs picked because I don't want to have any points that go unclaimed type of thing. And then lo and behold, over the past like 2 days, literally there's points on the board that no one has drafted those players from.
It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. Yeah, I know. And I mean, like you would think that players like Connor McDavid in a lot of drafts would have gone first, but we were talking about this before.
Mm-hmm.
And what sense would it make picking Connor McDavid first if you don't think Edmonton's going to make it to the final?
Yeah.
If you think the Leafs are going to make it through, why are you picking Connor McDavid? And I think we had a pretty intelligent draft. Guys in our draft, man, because first overall was Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
And I was like, awesome. Like that's a great pick because I hope to see the Leafs playing deep. And I hope to see that being his Conn Smythe to win your hockey pool. Yeah. And I would cheer for that, like that would be fun to watch. I would cheer for that roster. And where did Connor McDavid go?
Connor McDavid ended up falling all the way to the number 4 pick. He fell behind not only Matthews, but Nathan McKinnon and Sidney Crosby were picked ahead of him, and that is shocking to me.
Well, I think you got 2 different maybe strategies, I'm going to call it, if we're going to call them strategies on that. One is following the same reason for picking Matthews. Somebody's thinking that McKinnon's on a team that's going to go deep. Yeah. We called Colorado to win the Cup, so that could be the Conn Smythe winner and win their pool. And I think that Sidney Crosby, if I'm really thinking about this, might have been more of a nostalgic pick.
I think so too.
I think it's my boy Sidney Crosby. That might have been something along the lines on that one.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I couldn't believe it, right? And like I put this draft together a few years, and seeing a guy like McDavid, who is just the best player in the world, hands down, going to number 4, that's still shocking to me. Either way.
Okay. I've got a good one though. So okay, we had 252 players drafted in our draft. Okay,
Yeah.
now you have to pick 2 goalies, 7D, 12 forwards. But those 2 goalies, you got to try to make sure you got your starters. And there's a lot of goalies that get picked. So when you're at your 251st pick and the last pick of the draft is a goalie, you're going to think that it's going to be a goalie that you're not going to know. It might be a guy that's never going to see the ice. Who the hell was the last pick of this
Carey
draft?
Price. It was Carey
God,
Price.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. There it is. Leafs in 5. That's why. Yeah. Leafs in 5. I mean, I got goosebumps, man. I can't wait. I can't wait for this.
But what makes it even funnier is Jake Allen was picked way before that. I want to say like in the top 100, maybe just after that. Like, because there was a pretty good run on goalies. And the way the draft works is you can pick any position player you want. You're just limited by the end of the draft to the 12, 7, and 2. So you can pick a goalie first, whatever. But Jake Allen was picked, and I remember whoever picked him, I was like, oh my god, okay, sure, Jake Allen. Like, why would you take him over Carey Price? But whatever, not my team.
And everybody did it.
Yeah,
all of us.
Yeah,
we all left Carey Price on the table. Like I think the backup netminder for the Islanders is my second goalie, and Carey Price was still on the table.
Mm-hmm,
I may have gotten that wrong because I lost my team.
Yeah.
Anyways, whatever.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and we'll definitely keep doing this for as long as I can, because I have a great time putting this together, and I think every draft it's unique in its own way, and this year was definitely a lot of fun.
All right, but you know what we will do though? Like, I mean, we'll talk about this draft a little bit, guys. We won't bore everybody with it, but we'll touch on it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But what we will go into is on our playoff preview show. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's the last one before this recording, and we've got our teams that we picked, how our bracket's going to play out. So I'll put that bracket together, and I'll get it so it's stuck behind me, so we can kind of talk about that bracket and see how it goes throughout the playoffs. See how right or horribly wrong we are.
Absolutely, man. Well, you know what? Speaking of things that have happened, let's go back to this day in hockey history, man. Let's go back to some actual modern history. This isn't too long ago. Only in 2018, Jonathan Marchessault became the first NHL player in history to score a goal in the first minute and last minute of a playoff game. He gave the Vegas Golden Knights a quick lead when he scored 35 seconds into Game 3 of the Western Conference Final against the Jets, and then he made it 4-2 with an empty net goal at 1937 in the period. Another cool thing that happened is Scheifele scored twice for the Jets in that game. That gave him 11 goals on the road in the 2018 playoffs, and that's an NHL record for one playoff year. I think those are both pretty cool things to happen, especially in one game.
That's pretty unreal. Yeah, that's a pretty. Imagine being in attendance for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that would have been pretty special. It's pretty special indeed. Where was the game played? I missed where you said that.
It would have been in Vegas if those Scheifele goals were on the road, right?
Yeah.
But like to me, that Scheifele one. Think of all the players that have played in the playoffs. Like Gretzky never had 11 goals on the road in a playoff run. Lemieux never did that. Considering the numbers those guys were putting up in the playoffs, to like that is amazing.
Yeah. No, that's pretty special stuff, man. Damn right that is. That's a pretty sweet hockey day in history, and I like that it's a little closer. Because as Leaf fans, unfortunately, most of our stuff that we revisit is way back when. Like my dad, he was talking just the other day. He goes, "Do you know who has the 2 quickest goals to ever start a game?" I go, "No, who?" He goes, "Dick Duff."
Yeah.
Like, Dick Duff, eh? I think if I heard it right, it was 11 seconds. But anyways, just a little tidbit. It's nice to see this one, 2018, man. That would have been a wicked game for sure.
Oh, for
11
sure.
goals. I don't know. That's pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm. Well, unfortunately, we don't have any games to preview today because the Leafs aren't playing till Thursday, and we have another show in between now and then. And we're definitely going to get way, way deeper into Leaf talk when it comes to the playoffs coming around. And I'm sure we'll have some more playoff games to talk about these series are awesome. I love this time of year. I know you do too, man. I am glued to the couch for the next few months.
Okay. So throughout the regular season, I like to pride myself as being a Leaf fan that is realistic. I'm a passionate Leaf fan, but I'm not a guy that's going to sit here and do silly hot takes. Like I like to think I got a pretty good sense of what's happening, but my emotions really run wild in the playoffs.
Yep.
And they're on my sleeve, and I get kind of worked up. And I mean, I don't trash. That's the one thing. I do not trash my team.
Yeah.
Because as a fan, I don't get why you would trash your team. As a player if I was ever a player of a team, if I'm not doing well, I want you to try to pump my goddamn tires so I can get back up and play well, not push me down because I'm down.
Yeah.
I'll never trash our team, but I'll tell you, I get worked up, and I'm already feeling like the intensity is starting, and I can't wait.
Yeah, I consider myself more of a like I will trash the team when it deserves to be trashed. Like in the past few playoffs, in an important game, Anderson always lets in a soft goal, and you can just feel the energy come out of the guys. The whole team just goes down. Like there's against Boston in Game 7, all the time from a bad angle, Anderson would let in a goal. I was like, that's his fault. He should have had it. And I'm not trying to pick on a guy or anything like that, but literally that's your job, right? Like, don't let in a bad goal in the playoffs if you expect to win, because other teams can. At the time, the Leaf teams weren't designed to really push through physical play, so that's as far as I will go with trashing a guy. I will never call a guy garbage or insult him personally, but I will be fairly critical of when a guy doesn't play up to his potential.
That's fair. And there was something that I was pretty critical of with the Leafs at the beginning of the year, but then the stats started to prove to be completely mundane and irrelevant. And that was hits in a game. And because every time that I'd look at it, games we'd win, we were getting smoked in the hits department. The games we lost, we were winning in the hits department. So I just shut up about it. But I will say this. The Islanders just beat Pittsburgh, and I heard they had 74 hits in that game.
Wow.
That's nuts. 14 of them were from Uncle Leo.
Fantastic.
Buddy, he was the hits leader in Toronto year after year that he was here. So why the hell wouldn't he have 14 hits in game 1 of the playoffs?
Yeah. I will say this about the playoffs, man. Like, as Leaf fans, because the way the team was built before this year, we'd always talk about how we need the game called tight. We need the game called like it's a regular season game, because that's the only way the Leafs would win as a skilled, fast team. If this year they start calling the games tight against the Leafs, that's actually going to hurt them. And if they lose because the other team is getting too many power plays, good God, there will be a march. Good thing the borders are closed, because there will be a march on the NHL office in New York by Leaf fans.
Yeah, I guess so. But I guess you could look at it both ways. Maybe if there's too many power plays, for who? For them or for us? Because it might hurt us if we keep getting power plays, man. We didn't exactly have a stellar one.
That's true, but like it's something, because I think the Leafs did a smart job by this year changing the build of their team to be playoff ready. Like, you look at what's projected to be their fourth line this year compared to what it was last year. It is so different, and is designed for completely different things. We will definitely get into this more in our next show.
Oh, the next show is going to be filled with this. We're going to do the who's in, who's out. I can't wait for it, Wes. Like, Leaf Nation, watch the next show, because we're getting started we're entering the playoffs, and we're the first seed. When's the last time you could say that? Let's go.
Exactly.
It's great times. Go Leafs, go.
Exactly. Well, if you like what you see and what you hear, like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter at BlueCollarHT, follow us on Instagram, Blue Collar Hockey Talk, and as we always say, go Leafs, go.